Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Share Your Story with Ellie. I'm your host, Ellie V, and I'm so glad you decided to join me for today's episode. My cousin Madeline is back on the podcast to share more of her story. We had the best time recording the M's and the E's episode over Thanksgiving, and I'm so excited for you to learn more about Madeline and her family and her journey through life. Madeline is a wife, a mom of one and soon to be two, an artist, and just the most fun, generous friend. She currently lives in Athens, Georgia, but as you'll hear in this episode, she's had quite the path back to life in her hometown. We laughed through so many stories over the years, and Madeline shares the wisdom she's gained from marrying her high school sweetheart, following the Lord's call throughout her career, and growing through motherhood. I know you're going to love this conversation with my cousin, sister, and friend, Madeline.
So I will say, I'm a lot less brave without the microphone. Microphone just gives me power. It's like
I know.
karaoke, you know?
It is. It is.
Give me a microphone, I'm there. But just plain.
I know. There is something empowering to the microphone. Just holding it, you feel cooler.
Yeah, you do.
Way more in control. Okay. We've got Madeline back on the pod. Not on the mic, but on the pod.
Hello. Back on air.
Oh, yeah. You were also one of the official people that was like, how do we use all the podcast or radio terminology?
Yeah, again, I'm going to sound like a professional.
Well, at least play the part.
I'm going to do the damn thing, you know?
Speaking of playing parts, one of the stories that we did not share on the previous episode, but one that I think is integral to our relationship / history that we didn't bring up is when we did Ariel.
Which I really it speaks not only to our personalities, but it also just speaks to how far we've come.
Exactly.
As sisters.
Exactly. Because the getting to the point of being locked in the bathroom and work your stuff out so that you can be better friends and stop ruining all of these family vacations with drama.
You are the cancer of the family. That felt good. Thanks, Mom.
I know. I was going to say, we really need to remove that label and pray against that. Which we have. We've come a long way.
We're past that. We left that in the bathroom.
We did. But the story of Ariel and reenacting, I think, is important to us, for us to tell of how far we've come.
Do you want to tell it?
Well, I'll just give the foundation in that, as people heard on the previous episode, we used to do a lot of trips together, a lot of M's and E's time together. And a lot of those included choreography and skits and
so many
shows and routines, even starting from as little as you getting up and singing the ABCs in your very nasally voice.
Yeah. Thanks, Mom. I'm so self-conscious. Thank you for telling me I sing through my nose. Stunted my performing career right then and there.
One time my mom told me, singing's not for everyone. And it's still one of those things that
brutal.
I remember where I was, what was going on, what I was listening to on my pink iPod Nano that essentially dissolved all of my dreams.
She probably was just I'm just, just helping her out here. Exactly. Little did you know, core memory.
Literally. Core memory canon event is that.
Wow.
But going back to when we were little, we did a lot of these performances. And I don't even remember how it went down. But
I remember it was in y'all's rental that had the cool din down the stairs.
Yes.
So we're redoing y'all's house. Yes.
Yeah. Churchwell.
And y'all had an ottoman.
Mm-hmm.
I think on wheels. It was a great ottoman.
It was a good one.
Would have made a great rock, Ellie.
Which I think was the original inspiration, because my favorite princess, I feel like, was Ariel. And I used to pretend to do that stunning rock scene where she pushes up on the rock and all the waves are around her and she's singing.
Lord.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a favorite film amongst the crew.
Definitely.
We were all very familiar with the characters.
Yes.
So the time came where we decided we were going to perform Ariel.
Yeah.
And of course, we have a redhead. She cannot be Ariel. Ellie's going to be Ariel. She is going to be Sebastian because she's redheaded. That just makes sense.
The logic that I was able to come up with in that and convince her, no, I know you have red hair like Ariel, but because you're so fully red, you should play the crab.
Yes, 1000%. And she took that and ran with it.
She did. We cannot fault her for her commitment to the role.
And then I'm pretty sure Emma was like Flounder or something.
Right.
Ursula. I mean, there's so many characters I could have been. Can't write it either. I could have cross-dressed. I could have been Eric, Prince Eric. I could have been the Scuttle, the seagull guy.
Oh, I love that guy.
Been happy to be the fork. But you had a very important job for me to do.
It's so terrible. It's so terrible. That I could push up on and have my star moment.
I'm happy to be the support you needed in that moment.
Thank the Lord that he gets into all of that nastiness in our own hearts. That's like, you can't be that person anymore. Because that is so awful.
So rough. It's definitely one of our lower points, but it's also like the funniest. Like it's one of my most fondest now. It's not like a bad memory when I look back. It just makes me giggle.
Because won't he redeem it? Because we had that conversation, I think, about that story. We were retelling it at the lake that time. And I was like, the truth of the matter is those things are so true of us as people, and he's still redeeming them. But you are so like foundational and ready to support and all of those things. But you also shouldn't have been pushed down to curl up in a ball and be made.
I'm more surprised, like I wasn't always the quiet go with the flow type. I'm surprised I wasn't like, no, hell no,
exactly.
I'm going Ursula.
Oh, but we've come so far. So far. So far.
I love it.
I love it so much. It really does depict just like who we've been and how far we've come.
It does. And
most
later,
of all,
I performed in a Oconee Youth Playhouse.
Yes.
Their production of Seussical, and I went on to perform as Water. So I feel like my role as Rock really prepared me for my role as Water.
You are a gal that can do the natural elements well.
Someone need a mountain or a tree, I got you.
Oh my gosh. And maybe it just serves as such breeding ground for when Amelia starts like getting into plays and all this stuff. You can be like, you know what? I've served it all. I've been in every role.
Don't shoot for the stars, honey. You have to be the star of the show. Every play I ever was in, I was in a character that had nothing to do with the storyline. I was a lizard in a story about farm animals. Is a lizard even on a farm? No. I was a black cat in Pocahontas. I don't see little cats in Pocahontas.
I don't know that I've ever seen a cat in that movie.
No. Oh, I played a lot of strange, unnecessary roles.
But you know what? You played them with your full heart. And that is what matters. Well, I love some of those foundational stories because as we've mentioned before, we did have we had a lot of differences growing up. But I would say, especially starting in high school, the summer trips we had, we turned into real friends, and our friends like crossed over and mixed, and we had so many summers together. And I genuinely remember the first time you and Sam were like becoming a thing.
Oh my gosh, it's so crazy to think about.
And I cherish my third wheel title for the last
great third wheel.
How many years?
13 years, I think, right?
Yep.
13 years, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've been together 13 years now. We're 28, so for those counts, 29. Oh, so for those counting, I don't know. We were like 16.
I know. Okay, wait. Will you tell the story of how y'all met?
Oh, yes. So, technically, Sam Kennon, literally the best human on this planet. He was not always the best human on this planet. He used to be a little invincible, arrogant 16-year-old boy, as they all are.
True, but he does have the smarts to back it up, that's him.
He does. And he was
Yeah.
still so precious then, even when he was just a dumb teenage boy. But he came to our school in our freshman year of high school. Because their school didn't have football. So he came to play football. I've never been so thankful for a school being too small to have football because my whole life would be different. But when he first came, I thought he was such a weirdo. He sat on the front row in every class, raised that hand immediately, like any question asked. I was like, oh my God, who is this new kid? He thinks he knows everything.
It's that episode of Friends where like Phoebe goes back to school, Rachel knows nothing, and then Monica joins and she's like, I know. And they're like, you asked the question.
Yes, of course you know.
Yeah.
But yes, that was Sam. And my freshman year, I got it together sophomore year and on. But my freshman year, I was a little, dumb teenage girl.
We've all been there.
Who wears your short skirt too short and is more worried about socializing with her friends than was happening in the classroom.
Yeah.
Sam wanted nothing to do with me either. He thought I was like just a dramatic, annoying teenage girl. Fair. I probably was when I was 15, 14. So then about a year later, the summer after that year, we would go to driver's ed, and Sam Kennon and I are in driver's ed together. It was at our school. It was like the most fun driver's ed ever. Like we had pajamas day. We did all kinds of fun things.
Yeah.
I don't think driver's ed is typically that fun, but it was great.
But that speaks true to Prince Avenue as a whole.
Precious, and at that point, small school that just like was so fun. But it just was like, I was like, who is this cutie? Like, he's just so cute. Like, I really haven't talked to him before. And we laughed and just like had so much fun with everyone in the group the whole time.
Yeah.
And we did MASH, the game with
of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we got each other. So we were going to get married. And ironically, we got Shaq, which also came true. Because we did live in a shack for a little while when we got married.
No kidding.
Yeah, so then after that, we like just became friends, and we just, a few months later, he would not take me on a date because he was old enough to drive. His parents wouldn't let him get his license until he was 17, and he was 16. And he was like, I'm not taking you on a date.
I forgot about that.
Yes. So finally, he like convinced his parents. He was the first of the youngest of four, and he somehow convinced them to get his license earlier than the rest. And so we got to go on a date, which actually we went on a date before he was allowed to drive me. So we still were in the back of someone's minivan.
Young love.
Yeah, we went to see a movie and had Your Pie Pizza, and I think we made out in the Borders bookstore. And we've been together ever since.
Oh my gosh. Isn't that so crazy?
So crazy.
When did because you started dating at 15 and there's still so much like that you're figuring out. When did you have that feeling of like, oh, this is the one? Like, was there a specific story or like?
Yeah. So high school was like, I will say like at the beginning, it was just crazy how fast we were just like so comfortable. We were just great friends. Like before even really being in a relationship, we just were really, really good friends. And we just always talked about like how weird it was. We became close so fast.
Right.
And I literally remember the first time he hugged me still, like it was like oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
It was so sweet. I just like still remember that.
Yeah.
But again, we were 15 and both of us did a good job of being like, one day we're going to go to college. Like, I don't know that I'm going to want to be with you in college. There's like a lot of other fun people out there. So we just kind of kept our heads on straight and enjoyed it. He did try to break up with me junior year. And I was like, no.
I have a distinct memory of that because, as also people have probably heard, our moms were constantly on the phone all the time talking about everything that was going on. And I remember my mom one morning being like, oh, we got to pray for Madeline. Apparently Sam's trying to break up with her. And I said, oh my gosh, he broke up with her? And she said, well, no, she's not going to let it happen.
He's crying.
Yeah. There's effort there, but she says no.
He was like, basically like, we're pretty serious and we're like 17. I just don't know that this is for me. And I was like, that's fine, dog. We can step back.
Yeah.
And his mom, I literally think the Lord spoke through her and was like, hey, it's easier to burn a bridge than it is to rebuild it. So you better be sure that you don't want to be with her before you
Wow.
break up with her.
Yeah.
Which is so funny because we were in high school. Like, those relationships really aren't that crucial. You know what I mean? But the Lord the whole time knew what he had for us.
Yeah.
We had no idea. And we were so done with it. It just shows that no matter what you do, the Lord's plan, he's going to take care of it because he
It'll
knows we're
prevail.
dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing I do was nothing I did. And trust me, I tried hard to mess it up. And so did he. And nothing we did messed up what the Lord had for us.
Right.
And it's really cool because I think back to like, and I look at other 16-year-olds and I'm like, oh my gosh, I literally like made a choice that changed the rest of my life at 16 years old.
Yeah.
That was the Lord because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was so nice.
He still is.
He's so cute.
But do you remember like a distinct moment when you were like, this is forever? Or was it more just no, I'm not letting this go. I'm still committed to not letting this go.
So towards the end of high school, I was like, I would like that. Like when we were picking colleges, I was like, I definitely like want to stay with this person.
Right.
And I don't know what's going to happen. And he was trying to play football places. And at one point, like Mercer was on the table and I was just like, I just had this horrible feeling. I was like, if he goes to Mercer, I just don't think we're going to. Yeah. So I was going to Georgia.
Yeah.
He ended up, all the football stuff kind of fell through, which I hated it for him, but it worked out. He walked out of Georgia. Then he got hurt, but it's fine. He still did it. But, so he ended up coming to Georgia. And so after our freshman year, we like made it through our whole freshman year of college. Both of us were like, all right, yeah, this is probably it. Like we've been through high school, but now we've been through a year like out in the world, or what felt like the real world at the time. Little did we know that was not even close. But I definitely like after our freshman year of college is when we talked about it more of like, this is happening.
Right. Start planning in that direction.
Yeah. And in junior year, we really were like, okay, we're getting married. It's just like no rush. Because let me tell you, you get the rest of your life to be married. So don't get married before the end of college. If I had gotten married, I wouldn't have gotten to live with my sweet, sweet friend Lauren and Candace and Colin and Ami all through college. And like, I just would have missed out on a lot. So like, it definitely was great timing waiting. But yeah. So probably around then.
Yeah. And you were in school to become a teacher.
Yes. Well, I had a few majors.
I was going to say, let's talk about like how the current phrase being eras. You had quite a few eras in college.
So many. And I've done so many odd jobs. Like Emma's always said, she's like, I just don't really see you as a singular career person. I just think you're going to do a lot of random things. Yeah. Which has proven to be true.
Definitely.
I started out as an art major. It sucked the soul out of me. I didn't do any art for a year after that. I later found an old sketchbook from college, like from art, and it was like, all these people are so pretentious. This is all so full of bullshit. Like it took me to a dark place.
Your sketchbook had this stuff? So like the place where you're supposed to be doing assignments, you're just like, I hate this and I hate my life. I was just like hating life.
Other than art history, that was a great class. I hated it. It was just toxic. Like, maybe that route is for some people, but it wasn't for me. Yeah. And I did learn a ton, I will say. I learned a lot of good foundational skills that first semester, and then I bowed out. And I still took those foundational skills and definitely built the career I have now, but it was not my path.
Right. I was going to say, normalize having so many different paths because, again, you're 18. How are you supposed to know what it is you want to do with your life?
Literally, you don't. I was so dumb. In fact, I just remember when I was starting to think, okay, maybe this isn't for me. Yeah. Asking people, like, different people around the school and advisors, like, what can I do with this degree? Like, what if I don't make it as, like, an artist? Like, what do I do from here? Yeah. And everyone was like, art teacher. And I was like, okay, I don't want to be a teacher. I don't want to be a teacher. So I'm out of here. Yeah. Ironically, I became a teacher. But
isn't that how it works?
It's so funny what the Lord does. So I quit art school and became a Spanish major. It just proved to be hard, and I
Wait,
didn't like it. And
I
again, what was I going to do with that?
forgot about that era
Yeah,
because, and we always say these
grief.
things lovingly, but the Southern accent and drawl, especially when you take after your Cece,
Yes.
comes in hard. So to
Oh,
be a Spanish major,
yeah. Well, and all of a sudden, like, I was in these Spanish classes and I was like, I'm ahead of these people. Like, I got it. Then you get to the Spanish level, whatever, and I'm like, where the hell did all you people come from? Y'all are not in my last Spanish classes. Y'all be reading and writing reports in Spanish. Like, I'm out of here.
I got the colors and the fruits down.
Yeah, like I can speak in a mild conversation, but I do not understand any of it. I couldn't even understand the teacher.
Yeah.
Halfway through, I was like, I'm done. I can't
Yeah.
be a Spanish major. This is insane. So then I switched to education, which is what I was running from all along. And
Right.
then the Lord just really put it on my heart to the point where the lady was like, this particular college is pretty competitive to get into.
Mm.
You need to have a backup. You don't exactly have classes that go for education. And I was like, I don't need a backup.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, pick something. And I was like, I got nothing. This is where I'm supposed to be. Don't you understand? The Lord told me. So there I went. And I met some of my closest, bestest friends in it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some of my best experiences came from that. So.
And I mean, looking back on it, especially in your first year of teaching, you needed some of that foundational stuff that was the art and the misery and how to relate to people that
I
you
did.
didn't. And then
So,
Spanish.
yes. It's so wild how the Lord did all that. So like I knew enough Spanish and I ended
Yeah.
up teaching at a school that was like 67% of the population. Spanish was their first language. So
Mm.
I had parent teacher conferences. I was able to do them without a translator a lot of the time. And unless they were like more complicated ones, but
Right.
and like I could relate with like talk to my kids and stuff
Yeah.
in a different way. It was very cool to see like it wasn't useless. Like
Right.
that path he led me on briefly had a purpose.
And you can't see it while you're in it, but it's always looking back over something that you're like, oh, this was equipping me to get
Yeah,
to
like
where he had me.
exactly. I was
Yeah.
frustrated. I felt like I kept hitting dead ends. I felt like, oh, my life's going nowhere. I've tried art, I've tried Spanish, like
Right.
I've tried all these things that clearly aren't for me. And it's just like a waste of time. But looking back, I'm like, it really isn't. It
Yeah.
prepared me for a season. And it's funny, like I'm not a teacher now. I would still go back and do it
Right.
because the 3 years that he had me in it, 1000% there was so much purpose in it in my life.
Mm.
Like I've learned so much about myself, about the world, about people, and it honestly made me a much better mother. I think I'm the kind of
Mm.
mother I am today because I got a lot of skills teaching.
Yeah.
So it
Well,
just
in
really
that
is cool.
first year though, you were hoping and thought for a while that you were going to teach second grade.
Kindergarten.
Oh yeah, kindergarten. Yeah, it was
And then like
kindergarten,
a month before school started, they're like, actually, you're going to teach fifth grade.
which are completely different people. 5
I,
years old to fifth grade is
it's baffling,
yeah,
especially like these kids, they had more life experience than I did. And fifth graders are huge. Like they
they
are like
are.
adults. Yeah. And kindergarten, they love you even if you make mistakes.
Right.
But I was terrified. And I had never, we did a lot of student teaching. I did all of mine in kindergarten. I never
Yeah.
went above the second grade.
Right.
So or third grade, because you have to do a third to fifth section.
Mm.
So once a week for a semester, I went to third grade. I'd never been anywhere close to a fifth grader before.
No.
You might as well put me in middle school.
Truly.
But I've also, that is one of I can think of like maybe one or two other times in my life where I've had to cling to the Lord.
Mm.
So like moment to moment of
Yeah.
like, just like, you're going to do this and it's going to be terrifying, but like, I've got you every step of the way. I just need you to bring it to me every day and every
Yeah.
moment. And I still like, there's one person from my class, I'm still like, we're still part of each other's lives. And
Right.
the teachers I taught with that year, like still some of my best friends, and the things I learned through that year and my relationship and my faith, that was, I think that was the year, yes, it was, that we found out your mom was sick.
Yeah.
It was just like, he just was doing so much in my life,
Mm,
in my faith, in my family. And it's really incredible to see like how he lined that all up.
yeah. And y'all had just been married that
Yeah.
spring as you went into your
Hmm.
first year teaching fifth grade, right?
Yes. So I was a fresh little newlywed.
Yeah.
23 years. I had turned 23 my first year of teaching.
So wild.
Yeah. I was like basically the age of most of their siblings.
It's so crazy. And I
Yeah.
remember being little and thinking everyone seemed so big and so old. And then you get to that point, and same thing as what you're saying about dating in high school. You like think you're making all these decisions
Yeah.
and thinking about things, but you're like, you're a child.
Yeah. A literal child. And
Yeah.
at the time, I definitely was like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
Mm.
And I definitely want to go back to all my teachers I ever have and apologize because I feel so badly for ever making their life difficult. And I was a good kid, but
Right. No, but that, especially first year, there was a lot of sacrifice going on. Like, talk about
yeah.
your classroom itself and everything that you had to do and prepare and whatnot. Also being that was you and Sam's one income because he was in
Oh, yeah.
school.
I was
And then
the sugar
also
mom making like $32,000 a year before taxes.
I don't even think you can call it sugar mama when that's the money you're bringing.
That's what we lived in the shack, okay? That we lovingly called the little house.
The Little House. Adventures in Little House needs to be like publicized in some
At the
way, shape, or
time,
form.
people kept telling me, like, you need to write this stuff in a book so you'll remember it. And I wish I had.
Yeah.
It really is truly some of the fondest, the hardest years, but the fondest years of my life.
Yeah. Okay. So describe the Little House for people.
Well, have you ever seen the movie Snow White? Because I became Snow White.
You did.
I just need people to understand. Pre Little House, like I'm a tough person.
Definitely.
And I definitely learned a lot that I was tougher than I thought I was. Pre Little House, like I wasn't a camper.
No.
I didn't hike. Like Sam took me to the Tallulah Gorge. I would say it without like laughing. It was like an easy hike. There were like 7-year-olds passing us. I was crying. Acting like I was drowning in the water. Like I can't. Sam was like, stand up. You would have thought I was going through treacherous terrain. It was like Sam would probably call it a creek. Like, so I had very little experience with like, the outdoors.
The natural elements other than portraying a rock or
Yes.
a tree in place.
My acting skills for the nature were great, but I had no reality with nature, and I definitely was not one with nature.
No.
Yes. So by the end of it was like, we at one point had a lizard outbreak, and I just remember going to get my pillow for a road trip and there being a lizard on it. And I just was like, rolled my eyes and grabbed the pillow right next to it, walked away. Just let the lizard have my pillow. But like, that is where I got. I got to the point where we just lived one with the mice. They got the cabinets. We didn't go in there. They don't come out. We had a cat to help with it. We needed more cats. But
Jeff
I
was
can
not.
express you. Yeah, like chipmunks and things I would just pick up with my hands. I would wear gloves so I didn't get diseases. But I'm like, I'm carrying a chipmunk out to safety in our yard. Who am I? I would wake up in the middle of the night with a bug crawling on me and throw it off and then be like, oh, it's fine, and go back to sleep. What? I'm sorry, what?
Okay, but for more context for people, this is the tiniest house that is on Sam's parents' property.
Yes.
And it sloped, like everything was on an angle.
If you put a ball at the front door, it would roll to the back of the house.
Roll to the back of the house.
Our
It
cabinets had to
was,
be faced a certain way so that the doors wouldn't swing open.
yes, that y'all had technically 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms,
Yes.
right?
Yes. In one bathroom, the toilet worked, and in
Yeah,
one bathroom, the shower worked.
right.
Yes.
Insulation and closed windows were not really present.
No, there was a window that you just regularly had to pull the plant out because some plant grew up in it.
And you were essentially, as you mentioned, one with nature, one with the
We were.
wildlife, one with, and I need you to talk about when the weather
Nope.
was cold
Oh my God.
and
Yeah.
how y'all would sleep.
So,
Because at this point, it's you and Sam, your dog Finn,
and our cat.
and you adopted Jeff the cat.
Yes, who was supposed to be outdoors, and he didn't make it one day outside. I couldn't handle it. He ended up in the bed with me. But our first winter was rough. First of all, I cried for the first 2 weeks I lived here. And then I got used to it. And then it got cold. And we were not prepared for how cold it would feel. We did technically have a heating and air system. It just didn't function because
By
there was
name.
no insulation. Yeah. So our first winter, we hadn't figured out the tricks of the trade, if you will. So we slept in, what are those like Russian hats that go over your ears with fur?
Oh my gosh. Is
Rashonka
that
or something?
toboggan? No.
Something, okay, the ones that have fur lined and they go over your ears and your head and you buckle them. We slept in those. We slept in several layers. We slept with our normal comforter and blankets, and then we did open sleeping bag, wool blanket, pets in the bed, of course, all the body heat we could.
Need body.
Yes, it was so cold. So cold. We had a space heater. We later figured out like you've got to put towels under the doors and cover all the windows, and we would like make our little oven in our room, and we really learned how to survive. But it was a great house. Like all these funny things said, no Wi-Fi, all these things. It
I
really
forgot
was
about the
like
no
a
Wi-Fi.
fantastic house, and it was so cute.
And didn't you have like mostly cold showers? Like you were doing the polar plunge before people, or the cold
Well,
plunge
the
before.
showers, the water would get hot, but like in the summer, so now I still take cold showers every night, or when
That's what it was.
I'm not as good at taking a shower at night because of my child, but the summers, like you took ice cold showers to cool down because it was so hot. There was one particular August, it was so hot, I refused to live there. And my dad came and picked me up because I was crying, and I was like, my dog is overeating. And so
That was awful.
so I refused to live there. I lived with my parents for a month because I was like, absolutely not. Like,
Yeah.
it's so hot. I'm not living there.
No. This is not a survival of the fittest competition.
No.
This is just
No.
life, and I still have to work.
Yes. But overall, like it really was such a great house, and like so many good memories there.
So many.
Yeah.
Most of which include wildlife, like the nest that was burrowing in your Jeep when
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I put my hand in there. I left my keys in my Jeep because we lived basically in the woods. So I would just leave my keys in the car. And I thought I was going in to grab my keys, and instead came out with a handful of bird.
Again, the amount of
Which
eras
freaked me out, but it didn't. One with nature.
The amount of eras you have had in your life. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But so take me back to, because then eventually Sam graduates law school. Y'all move to Atlanta.
Yeah.
That's its own era for sure.
Such a great era.
But you kind of mentioned like you're living in the little house, you're teaching like in a challenging environment with not what you expected.
Yes.
My mom's diagnosed, all those things. So like, and you mentioned that was like rich breeding ground. We got there. For your faith and your relationship with the Lord. Where do you feel like your faith started before that was like its season of deepening? Or was that like where you feel like that was where your faith really became its own?
So I definitely like always kind of since I was little had like a pretty strong faith. Like when I was like in the third grade, I remember my teacher told my mom like, because I would like lay hands to pray,
Yeah.
as we love to do as third graders. And like, I definitely had a faith. I don't think it was my own until that year. Like
Mm.
he just kind of chiseled me and broke me down and then built me back up.
Yeah.
Um, really those first 3 years, 4 years of marriage, it was just like, we gonna knock you down, honey, and
Yeah.
take it down to the bare bones. And then that's when it really became my own faith. I think after losing your mom, I was like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
done. I can't take anything else.
Mm.
Take it all away. Like, I
Yeah.
can't do it. And then that's really when it became my own, and he showed himself, and I was just like, okay, let's do this. But
Yeah.
I'm not all that convinced right now. And
Yeah.
it comes back around, and he shows you over and over, like, no matter how dark and scary it looks, he is faithful. And even
Mm.
since then, it just honestly doesn't feel like it's gotten a whole lot easier.
We have this conversation a lot on the phone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just hit after hit. But like, he provides every single month. He provides every single time we are, having a hard time. He is there. It's not always what I want it to look like.
Mm.
And I've made a lot of mistakes along the way, but like, he is still good. Like, no matter what we lose or what, doesn't turn out how we want it to, or where we fall short, like, he's
Yeah.
good. And
Yeah.
it proves to be good later.
Mm.
And at the time, it doesn't always feel very good.
Right. I was gonna say, because like, what would you say keeps drawing you back to him? Like, what is the question you always ask him, or what? It would be easier sometimes to give up on God. What draws you back?
1,000%. I think just like looking back at my life and looking back at things and just seeing like, okay, this time I'm in right now is really hard. But another
Mm-hmm.
time it was really hard. It looked like, why is this happening? This makes zero sense.
Yeah.
Someone told me recently, actually, this like shook my world. I was like, wow. Holly
Mm-hmm.
said, to my mom, Jane's fertility issues
Yeah.
led to Ellie and Mary Claire being born around the same time as your girls, me and Emma.
Yeah.
He knew y'all needed each other
Right.
in your life. And like, it's like, that made no sense. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why? And that's probably not the only reason, but like, it
Right.
truly, he still was good in that, like,
Mm.
this bond the four of us have would not have been there if y'all had been born 4 years earlier.
Yep.
Like, it's just incredible. So it's like, I think what keeps bringing me back is just looking back and seeing, reminding myself, like, he is always good, and thanking
Mm.
him when it doesn't feel good, because I'm like, but thank you, because I know this is for the good, and you will use it for your good.
Yeah.
And looking back and seeing, well, like the Little House time, there were times I was like, I do not understand why
Mm.
you're doing this.
Yeah.
But looking back, like, I learned so much those
Mm.
3 years. I would do it again, knowing how hard it is,
Yeah.
because of what he taught me through it, and what he did to me and Sam's relationship, me and y'all's relationship, me
Yeah.
and my parents, just everything that he did through all that. Like, if you just look back, you can see evidence he is good.
Mm.
And so it's just a good reminder, like, it will continue to be good. He will continue to be good.
Yeah.
Even when it doesn't feel like it. And it looks like there's no way you can make this
Right.
good.
Right. Mm. I'm trying to find this quote, and I'm looking through my notes because I just did a study with Paige Brown. You know how much I love her.
Yeah.
And she just started a study on Daniel, and I'm trying to find the quote, and it's escaping me. So if I can't find it, then I'll just kind of come back to it later. But basically, it's just like remaining faithful in the places that like he has you here on purpose for a purpose. And I think
Yeah.
even in that same revelation was coming to me, like sitting across from your mom, and just kind of going back into the story of my mom's infertility, and like, why would he have waited that long? And just aligning our lives so much would be intertwined, because it would be different if we were
Yeah.
different ages and whatnot. And he was preparing for such a time as this, even now.
Right.
And some of the I would say the question that I always brings me like why I keep coming back to God and wanting to find answers to, which I don't know that I ever will on this side of heaven, is just,
Yeah.
are you really good? And like, do you
Yeah.
have good things for me? Like we have that conversation a lot, and I know he is,
Yeah.
but it's when I look through that lens of he has goodness for me
Yeah.
that then allows me to look back at, like you said, those years in the little house and not just be like, that was torture. Why did I learn survival skills in
Yeah.
my first year of marriage? Like, what was that
Literally,
about?
you put me in the wilderness.
Yeah, the actual wilderness. Or like, why was it that I couldn't have taught the kindergarteners or whatever?
Yeah.
And I even look at your relationship like with Nora Jane and like
Yeah.
walking through like craziness and like her being such a sweet friend and in this era of like
Friend.
middle school, and like
Yeah.
you know what it's like to walk alongside that or to have a different
Yeah.
perspective, but it's like having him allows me to then go back and look over things and search for his goodness or
Yeah.
purpose
Yeah.
when I don't know that you have that quality, when you don't think there's someone orchestrating your
No.
steps.
And like he doesn't promise happiness. Like the world promises happiness.
Right.
But like happiness is temporary.
Mm.
He
Yep.
promises joy.
Right.
And when you find your joy in the world, in the Lord, instead of searching for happiness in the world, like that is when my whole life changed. That's what he really taught me through all of that, was like, stop looking for happiness day to day. Stop
Mm.
looking for things in your life to make you happy. I can give you joy. He tells us, come to him first, give thanks first, and then you're going to have a peace that surpasses
Yeah.
understanding, like a peace
Yeah.
that just makes no sense.
Yeah.
Hence, a peace after losing your mom that like we shouldn't have felt, you
Right.
know, like we shouldn't have been
Right.
up there being able to just talk about how glorified he is, but we
Yeah.
could.
Yeah.
And like that is only through him. And no matter how hard life has been in the past, I guess 7-8 years,
Right.
if like finding my joy in him is how I can just, and I guess that's
Mm.
another reason I keep going back, because I'm like, no matter how awful it is, I still can find joy.
Yeah.
And the world doesn't give me that. The
No.
world just like promises me I'm going to feel happy. And if I don't have these things, then I'm just feeling dark and down. And
Right.
I can't get that joy that I can get with the Lord.
Right.
He
That's
doesn't like this TikTok or like Instagram meme that's going around is like so true, but it's like he did not get rid of the Red Sea for Moses. He parted it.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't get rid of the hard things. He like gets you through it.
You said that to me the other day when I was in a particularly challenging moment, and that's really stuck with me.
It
Okay.
sticks with me
I
too.
found that quote finally from, and I forget who she attributed it to, but Paige Brown said recently in the study, I am here by God's appointment, in his keeping, under his training for this time.
Wow.
And I thought that was so good, because it's exactly what you said. Like our pastor always says, happiness is found in happenings, like circumstances, and that can change in an instant. But true joy is found in like that security that there is a purpose, there is a plan, there is a reason for this.
Yeah.
And it's equipping me for the next thing, just like all of your majors, just like the time in the little house, like
all these
all
things
those
that don't
things.
feel like they make any sense.
Yeah.
He is orchestrating all of it.
Yeah.
And
And I
all
like,
he asks us to do is just like surrender it to him.
yep.
Let go, let God.
Yeah. I think I love that word training too, because I think training is not always fun, but it's purposeful towards a goal.
Yes, exactly.
It's not just suffering for the sake of suffering.
Right. We're not
Even
just
when it can
here
feel like
having a
that.
hard time. It's all for a purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. I really, we're umming at ourselves, feeling very confident. Yeah, I agree. I think that's and so much of that was set in foundation by like our parents and whatnot, and we're taking it to a whole different place. But it also doesn't get rid of the desire also for a little bit of lighthearted.
It did not. Like I would love to win the lottery right about now. And or just like, go blow some money on that I don't have on like a fun big weekend somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's gonna get better.
Yeah, we believe it. We believe it. One of the things I think you are so equipped for, and watching you come into it has been such a joy and a gift, is motherhood. And I think that's
Thank
because of,
you. That's like the ultimate compliment you can give someone.
well, it's funny because I think in different reasons, in different degrees, people have always thought of us as like the caretakers or like the moms of the group.
100%.
Do you remember when Mary Claire, when we were in,
21st birthday.
yeah, Mary Claire's 21st birthday. Mary Claire's
We
friend
had a
from
bunch of
college.
girls.
Yeah, Abby. Because we had a bunch of girls and we were, I guess, 3 years older.
Yeah. We were like,
2 or 3 years older than
I think
almost
I just
everybody.
turned 25. You were about to turn 25? Or
Yeah.
did I just turn 24?
I feel like
It's
24. Because if Mary Claire was turning 21, then I was about to
you would
turn
have about
24.
to turn. Okay, yeah. So 24 with our 21-year-olds, which is not a huge age difference.
No.
But at that age, it feels big.
So big because we're now like, again, you're married. We're
Yes.
paying bills. We
We're
are
in like real jobs.
real
And
jobs, all that. Yeah.
they are living their best life.
Yes.
And they're like second or third year of college.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we were very much the like, where are the reservations? Let's make sure
Yes.
everyone's staying hydrated. What's
Has everyone
the
eaten
schedule?
today?
Yeah. But I am like, I feel like I have been freed from this a little bit. I was so like mama bear protective over this group and like, where is everybody going? What's going on?
Yeah.
And you're taking care of them, but like, all right, everybody, what's
Anyone
the
need a
pizza
drink?
order? I'm headed to the bar. I've already got a tab. Let me get this for you.
I'm just going to be the mother of a good time. I'm going to make sure we're all having a good time.
Yes. But Mary's friend Abby was like, gosh, I love that we're here with Madeline and Ellie. You know, it feels like we have parents. Like, Ellie's our mom and Madeline's our fun dad. And I remember laughing so hard because I was so the like strict, like, we have to get from point A to point B. And you're like, all right, everybody, what are we doing?
Both. We
And
did.
we needed both. We needed both. But all that to say,
weekend.
it was so fun. But between teaching and then just your natural capabilities and then nannying.
Nannying and babysitting my whole life.
Your whole life.
Literally my whole life.
I remember you looking at me and being like, I'm just tired of taking care of everybody else's. I want my own.
Yeah. That became a real like desire because I was like, I've taken care of everyone else's children since I was 10 years old. I got my first little babysitting job, which is wild that I would not let a 10-year-old keep my kid.
No.
But it truly, I remember like I wasn't old enough to take the CPR test at Red Cross yet.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I can still babysit. But yeah, like I love it, and there's so many kids now that are out there and grown that really makes me feel old that like I still like love so much.
Yeah.
But I was like, I want to take care of my own babies now.
Yeah.
I feel like I have planned and practiced my whole life.
And now you have the sweetest, cutest little girl.
I'm so obsessed with her.
She's so precious.
She is like an absolute dream and just a fiery little thing. So fun, which is exactly why I wanted a little girl, you know, little Judy B. Jones, Eloise in the plaza kind of.
She stays busy, that girl.
Busy. Yeah.
That girl is never not moving.
Like, oh, boys are so busy and girls just sit in color. I'm like, okay, well, not mine.
She is up, down, all around and has been since the beginning.
She has. And her little bestie, one of my best friends' little girls, they're cut from the same cloth. So those two are going to be a fun time. Let me tell you.
World changing one day. How do you feel like motherhood has changed you, has changed your faith, has changed? Because also like becoming a mom at 28 is still like, and with some uncertainty, y'all had like just moved, Sam got a new job. Like there was a lot of transition all happening.
Yeah, it was a lot. It changed me a lot because it took me to another level of faith because where I thought like, yeah, I'll let go and like let God with myself. But now I have my baby that I'm like, I just don't think I can give you her.
Yeah.
Like it is the most terrifying feeling in the whole entire world, loving something that much. And like, I've taken care of children my whole life. I love children. I have a husband I absolutely adore, but there has not ever been this, I can't even express it, but like other mothers listening know, like there's nothing like it. Like
Mm,
it is like, and it's terrifying
yeah.
because you really, it's an illusion of control. Like you
Mm,
really can't protect them or keep
yeah.
them from harm, you know,
Right.
and picturing her one day out in the real world, I can't even take it. I was crying one day.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just not ready for her to go to college yet, Sam. And he was like, let's get to kindergarten first. Like, or preschool even. But it's a whole nother level of faith because I remember my mom, I had postpartum depression
Mm,
and it got pretty terrible pretty quickly. And I like, for some reason her body temperature was a trigger for me.
yeah.
And I mean, you were there for one of my panic
Yeah.
attacks.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It's like debilitating and over nothing, like absolutely
Mm,
nothing. And Madeline, little miss caretaker of children on the outside, normally that would not have faced her.
right.
But like, it was the postpartum. And I remember my mom looking at me and be like, you have to give her to the Lord. Like, you
Mm,
have to let her go.
mm,
And I mean, I cried. I was like, I can't do it. I
yeah.
can't do it. But I was listening to Lauren Daigle,
Yeah.
Sam's favorite. She's
Yeah.
great. But she was just like playing in the background. I was changing Amelia Jane's diaper. And I never even heard this song of hers before. But the song just kept saying, like, she ain't going anywhere. She ain't going anywhere.
Wow.
And this was like right shortly after we had just gone to the hospital with her for um a fever, and then she had to have like oxygen overnight, and she was fine. And they really only kept her because she was not 12 weeks yet. So
Mm,
it was fine. But I just was even more terrified.
right.
And I just remember like the peace overcame me, and I was like, okay, fine. I give
Right.
her to you because clearly I cannot keep her from harm. And I really don't have any control over how safe she is,
Mm,
if she
yeah.
stays well, like, and Lord, I need your wisdom. And I pray every single day for wisdom of
Yeah.
how to parent and keep that child safe. So, and just give her to him every day because
Yeah.
ultimately I want her to be in his hands because I got broken human hands and he's got the all
Right.
powerful hands that like literally tells the ocean where to stop. So,
Mm, yeah.
and
I
from
think,
then it's freedom.
yeah, because I think the letting go doesn't mean you care any less.
Oh no.
It doesn't mean you don't think about it that much more or whatnot. It's just admitting, I know I am not the sole provider or I am the most in control or capable. It
Yes.
means and it's not even like, I trust you completely. It's like, you need to help me trust you,
Yes.
that you have her more than I do.
Yeah. Because there are still times I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. Like, oh my gosh, I'm terrified because it's just this little thing. And like, yeah, I've taken care of a million children, but nothing will prepare you for the actual parenthood part of like the responsibility of them and the
Yeah.
thought of something happening to something you love so much. But the freedom that comes with, okay, Lord, first of all, I need you, like you said, I need you to help me trust you
Hmm.
because this is really hard. And when I do trust him and give him to her, like that pressure's off. I
Yeah.
remember when my sister went to Europe when she was like 18, I was terrified. I mean, I am the kind of sister who I still track all of you.
Oh,
And in
yeah,
the middle of the
exactly.
night, I'll wake up and make sure, like, did she make it home?
Yeah.
Like, I know she went
Yeah.
out tonight. Is she home? And I was just a mess when she was away. And my mom said to me, Madeline, she is still in Jesus's hands there. She's still in
Mm,
God's hands. She is no safer here than she is there.
right.
So you got to give her to him. And it
Yeah.
truly, you have to pray for the strength to do that. But it is such
Yes.
freedom.
Hmm. I remember my counselor saying to me one time, it says in the Bible that it's the gift of faith. So faith is something that's even given to you. So ask for it.
Ooh,
Even in,
girly.
yeah, even in the places that you want to have faith but don't, it's not out of your own strength that you can kind of come up with it or find a way to manage it or create it out of
Yeah.
thin air. Like, even ask for the faith that says, I want to trust you. I don't know how. So give me the faith to even get the trust.
1000%. There are days like I don't even know what to pray. I'm like, Lord, I don't have it. I don't have the trust. I don't even have the words. I don't even have the feelings at this point. I'm spent. Like, I
Yeah.
just need to take it all and
Right.
just ask for the strength because he'll
Yeah.
give it to you.
Yeah.
Same with the wisdom. He says, just ask for it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true.
Oh,
It's so, so true. Well, one of the things that I want to make sure we talk about
yeah.
also is your art, because you may not have
Oh,
finished as an art major,
I did not, but it didn't
but
stop what the Lord had for me.
I was going to say, but the Lord still gives you that gift and you still create very, very beautiful art.
Thank you. It's such a dream. I mean, like, I have always dreamt of being an artist since I was little.
Yeah.
Um, always wanted to own a bakery, weirdly, with my art on the walls.
Yes.
Not
Well,
big.
are we
So,
allowed to talk about what the name is? Because you've always had the name of your place. Do you remember it?
oh, the Crooked Hat.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Trademarked via this podcast.
My restaurant, the Crooked Hat.
Yes.
Yes.
Different than the bakery.
Yes, the bakery I think was like the Heavenly Cupcake or something.
Yes.
But yes, the Crooked Hat, I really was convinced I was going to own a restaurant one day.
Which is so funny because you were
It's
such
so
a picky
funny.
eater for the longest time, and the Crooked Hat would have only had chicken fingers, burgers, and honey mustard.
Yes, literally, that's how I ate till I was 27 and forced to be vegan for 2 weeks.
Which is a whole other story.
A whole other story. But I eat really well now. People
Yeah.
who haven't seen me since my past really wouldn't recognize my palate.
Yeah.
But
It's so true. But the art.
the art, it really is so cool because, teaching, he put that in my life for a purpose. It got me through that time of that season where, like, I had to be the only sole breadwinner.
Right.
Wasn't much, no, but like it was so purposeful. And then we moved to Atlanta and I got this opportunity to be a pretty high profile nanny. Fantastic, very cool, crazy year. But he just kept providing in different ways. And then Sam got another job and I didn't have to work and I
Yeah.
got to just have my baby, which was so nice. And then fast forward and we moved back here and she's, big enough for me to kind of start working. And it's really such a blessing because it's been such a dream of mine. I keep wanting to go full time. And I just haven't, like, he just hasn't given me the opportunity until now. But
Yeah.
it's incredible. I feel so blessed because I get to do something I love so much. And still like help provide for my family. And
Yeah.
still get to be home with my babies.
Right.
So it's cool.
Yeah. And it's
I'm
so
not always
beautiful.
great at like managing all the time with everything, but like it's happening. So.
One of my favorite things is the way you always are like, yeah, I have a market. I have 37 paintings due in 3 days, and I've started 2 of them.
Like, why do I sign up for markets every year? Because 3 weeks ahead, I have yet to do anything every year.
Every year.
And every July, I say I'm going to go ahead and start working on pieces for the holiday markets. No,
Never.
I'm not great with managing the amount of. I'm just not good at saying no to things. I got too much on my plate.
Yes. That is one of both of our core issues, is saying no to things. It is a challenge.
Yeah.
But your stuff is so beautiful. What would you say is your greatest inspiration, or what do you like to paint the most?
Really anything that just makes me happy. And a lot of it is just like interpreting what I see around me. So I do a lot of flowers, but like I'm a big flower girl. Love a flower, love a floral print, and I love color. So everything I paint is pretty colorful. I also love to paint landscapes, but kind of like a little abstract, my own version. Just because like especially with water, like it's just where I feel the Lord. And I also do a lot of home portraits, which are fun because I've always been obsessed with the real estate and homes. So like I find so much fun. Like it's just so fun to paint people's homes, like and really study their houses and the architecture of it. So yeah, a little bit of everything, but it just kind of depends on the mood.
Yeah. Well, people need to check out your stuff.
For a challenge too.
Yeah, exactly. So request it at Madeline Kennon Studio. That's what I thought. .com. Okay. Yeah, because for a while it was Art by Mad all over Instagram. And I still to this day, when I go to tag you and stuff, start to type in Art by Mad, but it thankfully comes up as Madeline Kennon Studio.
I had to shift. Once I became full-time, I had to like market myself a little more professionally.
The things
And
we
I did
do.
studio in case one day I do more than just art.
So
Keep
true.
it open, you know?
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, but I love it so much.
Yeah. It's
So
so beautiful. And I can't wait. We're going to revisit again what my dining room painting is going to look like. But I have your beautiful ballerina up in my bedroom.
good.
Yes.
You will receive that piece.
But here's the thing. I'm just as bad, if not worse, a procrastinator than you. So you painted me that beautiful ballerina, and it took me like 2 years to even hang it because I was so intimidated by getting it up on the wall.
It did, but now it looks great on your
But
wall.
and now it is the focal point of my entire room,
There you
and everyone
go.
asks about it. Yeah, I love it so
Oh,
much.
yeah, I love it. It's like definitely a challenge, like learning how to be a mom and
Mm,
work, but I'm figuring it out.
yeah.
And now we're adding a second one to the mix, so we get to
Yep.
figure it out again.
Just as you have some sort of equilibrium, it is all going to change again.
It will. Yeah, as soon as we got a routine.
Yep. Oh, but I just
That's all
can't
right.
wait. You're
I
going to be a
can't.
mom of 2.
I know. I truly pinch myself sometimes. Like I just when I was little and people ask what I want to be like, I just want to be a mom. Like I
Yeah.
just always feel like I've been practicing for years.
Yeah.
I finally get to
Yeah.
do it. So,
Oh,
but it's really, really, really the best thing ever that
yeah.
I've ever done.
I love it.
I'd have 50 if I could, but I think I'll stick to 2 or 3.
Sam says 2, you say 3. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, is there anything, I'm sure we'll have you back for many more episodes. But is there anything for today's episode that you're like, gosh, I wish we would have talked about this or shared this?
I don't know. Coming into this, I didn't even really know what to expect to talk about. So, like, I feel like hopefully, I didn't drone on too long about things.
Not at all.
I am
Not at
known to
all.
get excited about something and go a little off the cuff, off
What,
handle.
what's her name? Sue?
Sue
That
Heck. Yes, I am Sue Heck. If you have seen The Middle, then you know me. My sister and my parents used to lovingly, that's how they would tell me to rein it in. Sue, chill. I got a
Well,
lot of energy.
I don't think you sued this at all
Okay,
whatsoever.
good.
So
Well, we'll see. Let's edit out some of it if I did.
I think you're in the clear. Well, I know I asked you not too long ago, but it could have changed. So,
Yeah.
Madeline, if you could use one word to describe the current chapter of your story, what would it be?
Okay. It's definitely still difficult,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I'll say, but promising.
Mm.
So I definitely am, in another difficult season where it just feels like we cannot catch our breaths. Like
Yeah.
you just get hit and get hit and get hit. And sometimes it feels like you get kicked when you're down and it's
Right.
like, really?
Yeah.
But because of all of the things we've gone through in the past, I'm like, I know it's all for the good.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be okay.
Mm.
And he will keep, providing, and he will keep being,
Sustaining.
yes,
Yeah.
every time I don't have it,
Yeah.
but he does. And so
Yeah.
I just have to trust him that he is always good. He's always been good.
Yeah.
And he will continue to be good. And
Amen.
the biggest thing I'm doing in this season that I've learned is just thanking him, because that's what he says. Thank me first, and then you'll receive peace. So I'm like, great. Well, I'll be thanking you as much as I can. Give me that. Keep
Because I
bringing
need the
that peace.
peace. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna sing a lot of Jesus is you're so beautiful. CC
Yeah.
Winan.
CC Winan, our girl.
Love her.
Yeah. I've been I'm always such a big believer in seasons, but a lot of the podcasts and things I listen to these days are talking a ton about seasons.
Yeah.
And one of those things is just like when you're in the winter, when things are dead and dying off and changing, but you're also resting, but you're also anxious for new things to bloom, like being confident that this is the place that, as much as it's uncomfortable, new is coming. And so if you're in so much of that dying, there's got to be something born new soon. Yeah.
It's so true. And the best things come after the tough seasons, like nothing nothing good just like happens.
It has to be produced.
Yeah, like even Jesus saving all of us.
Yeah.
He had to like suffer horrible things, and look at what beauty came out on the end. So
exactly. Yeah. No, that's again Paige Brown. I just love her. And if you're interested in her study, I will send it to you.
Study. Yeah.
Yes. This was the first week. And she just said the Father had to say no to Jesus so he could say yes to me. And that has been like, so for me.
Good.
Yeah. So good.
Amazing.
Yeah. Well, I love you. I can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks. Oh, and you'll be back again and again, I'm sure.
Well, I love it.
We'll make sure you can do it with a microphone in front of you next time.
I can feel the full part.
Exactly. Well, I can't wait to see you so soon.
Love you so much.
Love you. Wasn't that just the most fun? You basically just listened to what it's like to be with us on the phone. I love giggling over how far we've come, revisiting all the seasons we've grown through, and encouraging each other in our faith. Please make sure you follow and support Madeline. You'll absolutely love her paintings for your own space or as the perfect gift for a friend. They're so beautiful and she's so talented. And please go support her on Instagram at Madeline Kennon Studio or on her website, www.madelinekennonstudio.com. I'd also love for you to share what you loved or learned from this episode in the comments on Instagram. Follow Share Your Story with Ellie and let us know your thoughts after listening. It also helps the show so much when you rate and leave a review of the Share Your Story podcast on the platform you listen on. These positive reviews mean each app will show this podcast to new listeners, which is a huge blessing to me. As always, all of the links to follow me and Madeline are available in the show notes of this episode, so you can easily click and follow along. Thanks so much for joining us today. See you back here on Thursday.